was a very significant party.
I know. It's the party of, that's where,
I think it's a predecessor to either one of the big parties.
Yes.
And I can't remember which one it is.
I was just watching a thing on Teddy Roosevelt. He ran a second time on a...
Yeah, the Bull Moose.
The Bull Moose party, yeah.
Yeah, well, he just made that up. That was like his own, it was like MAGA or something.
He was just trying to screw over another guy, which was it's hilarious. It's a great story.
Well, Teddy Roosevelt was a very admirable character, and we would not have almost all of our national parks.
Absolutely.
And Ken Burns' National Park series is great, and he pays a lot of tribute to Teddy Roosevelt. So
you can get on America for our environmental record all you want, but other places around the world don't dedicate huge percentages of their country to national parks the way that we have.
And thank goodness that somebody started this so that they were there. Mm-hmm. So then you're going to have to take them away.
Exactly. Otherwise,
and that's harder to do. They wouldn't start them up now.
Otherwise, there would be houses in the redwoods.
Let's see. We got this big old golf course. It's not making any money anymore. Let's turn it into a park. Mixed use sounds better to me.
Which is what they did over here in Prairie Village.
Well, that's what they did to Meadowbrook, my favorite.
That's what I mean, yeah. Well, Danny, I got one more for you. When you walk into a party,
right,
you're probably the kind of guy who can really break the ice.
Right.
Where do you think that came from?
Well, I think that back in the day, they just had one big block, huge block of, like a big block of ice, and if somebody would, to get the drinks all chilled, they'd have to crack the big chunk of ice.
Oh, that's an interesting...
So that's not right.
No, but that's an interesting theory.
I like it. I liked my theory, but...
And if you'd have told me that's what it was, I'd have been like, yep, that's got to be it.
Well, tell me the real story. Tell me the rest of the story.
So back in the day, people would go out on diplomatic missions, and they would go out to, territories...
Far and wide.
Oftentimes where it was cold. And, this is the British Empire, mostly is where this is coming from. And before they would go on these diplomatic missions, they would need a icebreaker to go break the ice so the ships could get through.
Yeah, how I didn't snuff that one out.
So
it's ridiculous.
So that was for trade.
I was just in a party mood. So
that was for trade, exploration, and travel. And so it just kind of stuck as, to break the ice, to start this diplomatic conversation, first we must break the ice.
Very nice. Very nice.
There you go, buddy.
I think I did. This conversation has come up a few times, this type of conversation, because, I'll see somebody I haven't seen in a while, or we'll go out with a couple, and the subject of the fact that my dad passed this year comes up, and he had all the phrases, he said them a lot. We were out with my brother and Jane's sister and my brother-in-law, and we were talking about, I'll drop you like a bad habit, or, half-assed, that's a half-assed effort, whatever. So, but my favorite would see, usually you can't say this, but you can in a podcast. I don't even know what this man, he said, oh, that man said he talks like he's got a paper asshole. That meant he was a liar.
Right. That's right. You've told me that one. I couldn't find the origin of that.
Oh, I don't even know what that is. But he had probably 20 of the phrases of the time, but they get seared in your memory because he said them often.
Yep.
Very often. And so other people would meet my dad, and they'd think he was just a hoot.
Well, I have some I use around my kids that and they just look at me.
The thing is, they're great to use now because they're super ironic, and people are like, well, that's just an old-timey phrase. And if you just say it straight out, they'll be like, what's wrong with you?
They just slip out like hoity-toity. I said that the other day.
So did we fact-check hoity-toity?
I don't think we have.
Oh, no. There's another one. I don't think you're going to have a slender... Before we started this, Joe texts me, he goes, slender fact-check. I think we've got a, robust fact check. We've got an Al King-sized fact check.
Hey, you know what I wanted to ask you as a member of the media, Danny?
Sure, Joe. This sounds like a good finishing point.
People want your opinion as a member of the media.
All right. Yes, they do.
I mean it. I mean it as a member of the media, because I heard some people talking about this recently that were members of the media on the radio and in person and other things.
Okay.
And they're very up in arms about what Deion Sanders has done to this columnist from Denver, right?
Right, and he previously, just about a week ago or so, did it to the same thing.
Yeah, so
a TV reporter.
If you don't know, there's this columnist from the Denver Post, and he's covering. He doesn't just cover the Colorado Buffalo football team.
Columnist.
But he's a columnist.
He's like Vahe or
exactly.
Sam McDowell.
And he's there, and he's written some things about Deion that Deion doesn't like. And Deion has it written into his contract that he can choose who he talks to and who he doesn't talk to. So now they've pulled his credential, and he can cover other sports at CU, but he cannot cover football or at least ask a question, the way that I understand it, of Deion or anybody on the staff or the team. Do you think this is dangerous?
Well, I think I don't think it's dangerous. It's football. It's the toy box of life.
Yeah.
But this is a public institution, state institution. The person who wrote this contract or agreed to the terms of the contract, that's irresponsible. It's ridiculous. You should have transparency, and the fact that somebody who might ask some difficult questions, you're barring from asking questions. Yeah, I think it's awful. Is it dangerous? I don't know, because I don't think a lot of people are going to follow this precedent, because I think they're taking so much flack for it.
But don't you think sports media is kind of going this way, where the way that
totally, completely.
Well, if sports can do it, I mean, can't they do it in? What's coming to a state house near you? I talked to an
unnamed reporter or two the other day, and we were just talking about one aspect of something, and this is all keeps it pretty anonymous. And the person said, given the state of today's sports journalism, blah, 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 blah. And he was being critical of his own peers. And I will agree with him that there's too many people who are soft or fanboys or whatever. And the other day, I covered the Royals on Sunday.
Yeah.
And there was a guy there. I'm not even going to try to get you come close to revealing for it. There was a guy who was covering the game. And he was a young guy who's coming up in the industry. And he was one of the people in the circle of interviewers. And he was asking very direct, he couldn't be more than 24 or 25, very direct, fact-based, forthright questions. They got killed on Sunday, a couple of which were semi-uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But just, he was saying them in the context of they were facts, and hey, you've struggled the last few outings, blah, 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 that type of thing. Just ask them in a matter-of-fact, plain, clear, concise way. And so afterwards, up in the press box, I took a point of walking over to him and complimenting him on that, because we got too much. I mean, just listen to any Reed press conference or Steve Coach Spags, and just listen to them say something a little funny, and it's just peals of laughter going on.
Yeah.
First of all, calling them Spags, you don't need to get me started on this.
No, I know.
The thing is,
but those are the little things. Those were the little things that this is the point of some people. I don't know where I land on this. Again, I haven't decided yet, but to some people's point, those little things like
can grow into
calling them Spags grows into this thing that's happening with Deion. And when it happens in sports, can that bleed over to other media, important media for us going into an election? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, for better or for worse, like I just started the extensive biography of Walter Cronkite called Cronkite. It's like 1,000 pages long. I'm like 150 pages in, and when I put the fly leaf in there, I mean, it's not even making a dent.
Hold on a second. What's a fly leaf?
You know, the paper thing on the outside of a hardcover book.
That's called a fly leaf?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And so, when you put the left side...
The first thing I do on a hardcover book is I take the paper thing off the outside and I wad it up and I throw it away because it bothers me.
I keep it because it's good. Works
and
well.
You use it as a bookmark?
As a bookmark.
Oh, no, I'm a page folder, bro. Come on now.
Yeah, see, I don't want to besmirch the book. So anyway... What I'm saying is this is a big biography, and part of, for better, there's part of it that wasn't great, that there were, people as important as Walter Cronkite, who was known as, basically the most trusted man in America, and what he said mattered, but I think he was a good reporter, and I think many people will disagree with the fact that back in the day, I think the reportage in general was by serious-minded people who wanted to bring out the facts.
I agree.
And now what we've morphed into is home team journalism across the board. And it's not healthy. Whatever team you're on, you shouldn't have a team site to go to, as it were. If you go to, Arrowhead, whatever, or KansasCityChiefs.com, you know what you're getting, okay? If you go to this network here or this network here, you're going to get what you want.
Yeah.
Not what you don't necessarily need to know.
Yeah. Which is fine with sports.
That's not, it's fine with sports, but it's not healthy in general. No, it's not.
Because if it bleeds over and the governor of whatever or the senator of whomever decides, I'm not going to talk to you because you are on the other team, as you put it, I mean, it's not healthy. I don't know if I'm going to call it dangerous yet, but I'm going to say it's not good. And what Dion's done, and I can say this because I'm not a member of the media, and I'm just a schmuck in his basement, it's chicken shit what Dion's doing, okay? It's totally chicken shit. There's no doubt. Absolutely. For a guy who's so tough with all this bravado, hey, how about you be tough enough to know how to handle tough situations? Right before you got here, I had to handle a very difficult situation at work with a very, very, very upset person that was not fun, and it was not easy, and it was very difficult. It was super difficult. And I didn't get to say, I'm not going to talk to you. You're difficult. Right. I'm not talking to you. Yeah, that's it's not healthy. It's not healthy, and it's not setting a good example for the rest of for the kids. I guess they're not kids, but the athletes that he coaches. It doesn't set a good example for them. He talks about trying to make them men and all this and make them professionals. Well, part of what's making them men is going through difficult situations, being asked difficult questions, blah, blah, blah. And also, now, when you're a college athlete, you're getting paid. So they're not kids anymore. They're not. So anyway, we used to have different rules for college athletes. Well, you really can't have them anymore. So. Which I thought was fair. That was fair. I agree completely. All right, man. Hey, you done? We're done. I'm just getting started. We're long, bud. We can't sit here and talk for 90 minutes. I mean, nobody wants to hear us for that long. Salute, buddy. Salute.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like the 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence, great food, finely crafted beers, cocktails, and great sports viewing in a friendly and comfortable atmosphere. Join Matt Llewellyn and his great staff at 23rd and Castle in Lawrence.